Hello, I am the real-life fake wizard. Today I am going to discuss the Nintendo Switch 2 controversy further, specifically engaging with and responding to shills and supporters who think what Nintendo is doing is not only okay, but they outright support it. I am going to detail a series of claims that these supporters have been making and offer reasonable and logical rebuttals with the hopes to shed some light for those of you who do not know where to stand on this entire situation. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong with wanting the Nintendo Switch 2. There is nothing wrong with desiring to play Mario Kart World. Nintendo games and products are beloved for a reason. They are quite satisfying. However, in the midst of the business decisions that Nintendo has made and then announced over the last few days, it comes down to a reality where you're not just buying video games anymore. In a lot of ways, you're choosing a side in a battle of wits between the general public and one of the richest corporations in Japan. This is not something that I wanted, and it is as dramatic as I say. In fact, all of the videos I've done on this channel, this discussion around Nintendo and its new pricing strategy, is possibly the most important discussion to date. Should Nintendo succeed in selling this console, but more so, its $80 video games, there will be ripples across the entire world. This will send signals to every other publisher and developer that the marketplace is ready to pay more money for the same products. Does that mean that everyone will buy the same games for more money? Absolutely not. But what will happen is you'll see things like Call of Duty bump up to $80. World of Warcraft will be $80 per expansion. Xbox Game Pass could increase in price. Perhaps even the PlayStation Plus service will increase in price as well. We will enter into a territory where the price of products is entirely unpredictable, all linked to corporate greed. You're not getting better products. The value proposition hasn't changed at all, and yet we'll all have to pay more money. So what happens when these prices go up? Sales volume will decrease, or in other words, less people buy these products, and because of this, you're going to see the collapse of the video game industry. People will lose their jobs. Entire studios that you might love will go belly up. Some of you may celebrate an idea like this. I don't. Not very much. That's not the victory. The real victory is in beating the corporate fat cats at their own game and wrestling back control of the market. That is the ultimate win. I will say this is a very dense topic with lots of emotions raised, and I do not mean to be aggressive or abrasive in my lecture, but I will reiterate, this is the most important moment in gaming to modern date. This is entirely corporate greed on full display, and every gaming corporate manager in the world is on the edge of their seat right now, seeing if Nintendo can pull off this gambit. Let's begin. Briefly, who am I? I am the real-life fake wizard. I am a small business owner outside of the wizard persona. I am speaking as someone who has been educated in business and marketing, and I am also an avid gamer, spending copious hours of my free time engaging in video games. So I am speaking to this controversy as a business-minded individual and a consumer of these products. Many of the comments that Nintendo defenders are leaving in regards to the Switch 2 are typically easily debatable. Many of their arguments are made of pure emotion, and they are unwilling to think logically on these things. They're unwilling to hear out the other side. Most of this is inspired by a blind love for Nintendo and its products. I understand that, and I empathize. I love many things in pop culture, but I'm not blinded by my love for something. You must be able to criticize and judge the things you love, lest they be corrupted by bad faith actors. Just like we're seeing with Nintendo right now. Number one, the prices were raised on the games and consoles because of the Trump tariffs. This is not true. The Nintendo president of America, Doug Bowser, did an interview with CNBC where he confirmed that they made the decision on the prices on their own without consideration of the tariffs. This means that the $450 console and the $80 physical and digital games have nothing to do with the Trump politics. Bowser explained that Nintendo is charging so much more this time around because the company feels that the Switch 2 has more to offer. Some of the features named as reasons for the price hike included the improved Joy-Cons, LCD screen, and the game chat feature. Before we continue, and to be clear, the Joy-Cons, which will retail for $90, are not stick drift proof. They are not Hall effect Joy-Cons and could very well be susceptible to stick drift. The LCD screen is not the OLED screen we got in the last Switch 1 upgrade, meaning there's a promise of a Switch 2 OLED in the future for even more money. And the game chat feature does require a credit card subscription to use. These are 3 features that gamers don't necessarily care for or want to pay more for when the most asked for improvement was for FPS performance and graphical enhancement. So yes, the tariffs, though, have nothing to do with the current prices Nintendo has chosen to charge. Number 1.1, the tariffs will raise the prices further. We don't know this yet. We can't confirm it. You can't confirm it. I can't confirm it. Japan and the United States seem to be negotiating well right now. The consoles are being made in, allegedly, Vietnam. Time will tell. This is not a make it or break it point, as there are still way too many variables in play. This whole thing could blow over. We just don't know. Number 2, the game key cards are still the full games. The game key cards are a great point of contention. The concept of the game key card is not new. There are games on the Switch 1 right now that are game key card physical editions. This means that the plastic box that you buy does not have the full game installed on the cartridge you purchase. You are required to then download the full game via an internet connection. Now, with these Switch 2 game key cards, what Nintendo has done a poor job of explaining is that, theoretically, I could install that game key card on my Switch and then hand it to a friend and have him install the same game with the same game key card on his Switch. For either of us to play that game, though, we will still need the physical game key card to allow the game to run. So again, theoretically, this doesn't impact the used game marketplace, right? Wrong. The game key card requires internet access to download that game. Okay, Nintendo is very well known for discontinuing its online services. The 3DS servers are down, the Wii U servers are down, and the Nintendo DS servers are down too. There are lots of features for games on all 3 of those systems that are permanently inaccessible because access to those services no longer exist. And here, we could buy Bravely Default for $40 on the Switch 2, but in 10 years, that purchase could very well be obsolete because the servers required to download the game are just no longer there. This is a trust thing. Why can't you get the game on the cartridge? Like, sure, it's cheaper, but I don't trust Nintendo to keep the access ports alive to continue accessing the games I've spent lots of money on. This is more of a DRM thing, like they're trying to find ways to prevent piracy. This isn't convenient for the buyers at all, and it just leads to more confusion. Personally, I believe this is to condition us for a future mainline IP release like Pokemon or a future Mario game being reduced to a game key card access. My theory, but we'll just have to wait and see. Number 3, the $80 variable pricing is okay. No, it's not. And to be clear, Doug Bowser himself explained that variable pricing means that Nintendo is going to charge different prices for different games based on what the company thinks the game should cost at that time. Worse, quote, "We haven't set a benchmark," which the Access Media is taking to mean that there's a chance that some games are lower than $70 and $80. But that also implies that they could try to charge even more than $80 if there's no benchmark. Games should not be $80, especially the base game. There's been no talk of DLC or anything for this Mario Kart World release yet, and the idea of Nintendo, or any company, just arbitrarily slapping a price tag on their releases is not good for the health of the marketplace at all. With this variable pricing strategy, no one wins, and everyone loses. Number 3.1, the price is higher so they can pay the developers more. No, statements like this are cope coming from a good place of optimism, but you're blinded by that optimism. Prices increase, yes, but wages do not increase along with it. Yes, I think that developers should be compensated fairly, but this extra money is not going towards the pay of those developers. Nintendo doesn't need more money to pay their employees. Last year, Nintendo reported $12 billion in revenue, and $3 billion of that was profit. $3 billion in profit. This is not a poor company. Nintendo is not some beggar with a Starbucks cup on the streets in San Francisco. They're the richest store on the block. Guys, Nintendo is the 9th largest company in Japan by market cap. This is not some flea market company. They're rich. Number 3.2. The cost to develop games is more expensive now. No, not really. Not for Nintendo. Nintendo is not pioneering technical spectacles here. Mario Tennis, Mario Brothership, Mario Party even. These are modest $50 million production budget games. Nintendo's focus is sticking to the formula. Nintendo's games do not cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make, unless it's something like one of the massive Legends of Zelda. But those are, what, every 7 years now? Red Dead Redemption 2 cost $400 million to make, and it's going for the retail price of $59.99, but goes on sale often, and sometimes you could find it in your local Walmart for $20 or $30. Cost to develop games as an excuse is a reach. Nintendo's costs on game development hasn't really gone up, and if it has, we deserve full transparency on it and why. Nintendo is the most creative studio, so it's worth it. Is it? Are you sure? Is it the most creative studio? And to begin here, I'm not saying they're not creative, but the games are all the same. Mario Party, Mario Kart, Mario Bros, Pikmin, Metroid Prime, Pokemon. All of these games are on the rails, by the book, formulaic. Again, I'm not saying they're bad games or there's anything wrong with this. I love these games myself, but I'm not going to be blinded by that love of a thing to say that they're the most creative studio. Breath of the Wild was creative. Fire Emblem Three Houses was groundbreaking for me, but most of the mainline Switch titles have been remakes and remasters, guys. Creative? Yes, of course. Most creative? Enough to warrant $80 price tags? That sounds like copium to me. It's the inflation rate. That's why the game prices are higher. No, it's not. And this one is probably the most annoying point that keeps floating around. Game prices are going up because of inflation. Well, if you go by those numbers that keep floating around, games should be something like $120 if you were going by the inflation numbers, right? Well, let me ask you this. Would you pay $120 for video games? Not one specific. Would you pay $120 market price for games? The answer should be overwhelmingly no. But also, inflation is not true because it's not true to the actual inflation rate. And more importantly here, value proposition and willingness to pay, which I explained in a previous video. Inflation rate is just a number. Has the value of the games increased? Are you getting more game for your buck now? No? Well, I certainly don't think so, especially from Nintendo. All the games are the same thing over and over, as I just said. That doesn't mean they're bad. It means it's the exact same thing with a fresh coat of yellow paint, which means the value of the item has not increased. Then willingness to pay. Are you willing to pay more money for these things? Because that trumps inflation 10 times out of 10. If they put Hello Kitty Island Adventure 2 up there for $120, what is your willingness to pay for that? 0%? It should be 0%. Inflation could say that games should cost over $100, but if the market isn't willing to pay that price, the price comes down to match what buyers are willing to spend. That's part of the free market speaking, and that's why not buying Mario Kart World is actually very important. It needs to be proven that gamers are not willing to spend $80 on games to wrestle back control over the market price. Number 4. Prices in the 80s and 90s were more than they are today. No, that was over 30 years ago. The world has shifted 1,000 times over since then. But those claims come from photos like this that keep floating around on Twitter, saying that games were so much more in the 90s and that we should just shut up and pay. But the circumstances then were extraordinarily different. Firstly, that $70 to $80 transaction got you a physical game with a physical chip inside, and the box and manuals. There was a full package there. The physical production costs around these games were slightly more impactful at the time. It was more expensive to make an N64 game than it is to make a Blu-ray disc or a Switch cartridge today. So production is not the issue. Also, the development teams were smaller. The industry was smaller. It was harder to break even. The buyer's market was ridiculously smaller compared to today. But also, bills and income were skewed very differently back then. People could afford houses at the time. None of that is applicable now. The video game industry is bigger than Hollywood and the American music industry combined. Games are accessible because there is a Switch console in every 1 out of 3 houses. That's how much the Switch has penetrated the US market. 1 in 3! There's no reason to compare today's prices to the 90s, when the industry was just getting into the deep end of the pool. Number 5. Nintendo doesn't need to explain themselves. What? Dude, if you're saying this, you've transcended bootlicking. You're all up on putting Wario's toes in your mouth, and that's disgusting. Yes, the corporations need to explain themselves, to explain the value to their customers. That's how trust in commerce works. Everything that Nintendo has done with this rollout, from hiding the prices on the Direct, from shadow-dropping prices through the excess media, from hiding behind the tariffs for pre-orders in the West, from Doug Bowser's Xbox One moment of just buy the Switch One if you don't have enough money. Yes, he basically said, if you can't afford a Switch 2, just buy the Switch 1. Classic Microsoft move. But what I'm ramping to here is that all that goodwill, all that trust that Nintendo built up over the last decade is gone. They squandered it in a matter of days, choosing corporate avarice and short-term gains over long-term permanent fans and growth. I've seen the comments on my videos and other videos and all over the internet. Lifelong Nintendo fans are burnt out after this one. They feel betrayed, and they have every right to be. It's at times like this that transparency is exactly what is needed right now. Nintendo needs to tell us exactly what's going on. Number 6. The $90 physical games are misinformation. No, those are real, and the circumstances there are very important. The $90 physical copy discussion came from the Nintendo website from Spain. Here are the screenshots. In Spain, the games are €90, which is more than here in America. There is nothing wrong with questioning that and being concerned. Nintendo has done a poor job of explaining everything. We have every right to be outraged. Oh, and by the way, the web page that had these prices on it has since been radically altered to hide the prices now. Again, back to that transparency thing. Why is Nintendo hiding from the public? Tell the truth. Number 7. You are still going to buy it. You, as in me. I get these comments on my videos. To those people, I would like to say, you don't know me very well, and calling my integrity into question like that just gives me more of an opportunity to gain more trust with all of you. This is very easy to prove. I will not be buying the console, which means I'm foregoing streaming those games and won't be covering them. I am the canceled Disney Plus guy. I hate corporatism, and I want to see the fat cat corporate boardrooms collapse in catastrophic failure. I want these people to know that they can't shove us around anymore or tell us what to think or how to feel. The last thing I'm going to do is blindly keep consuming and betray all of you. Number 8. I am still going to buy it. I, as in the commenters, and people are still going to buy it. Yes, obviously lots of people are going to buy this console. I wish they wouldn't, and I know that my objective is a moot point for lots and lots of people. It's nice to be comfortable. Comforts are nice. It's nice to not care and just keep consuming. I'm a little envious of that, truly. I can't because my conscience is much stronger than that. It takes a lot of willpower to look these corporations in the face and be tempted by the things they make, but understand that it's bad for us. It's bad for you, and it's bad for me. There are ramifications for buying something like this, and I can't participate in that. Instead, I'm going to try to convince you here not to buy it, and if you do, as I said, I get it. Willpower is hard, but allow me to ask, when is enough enough? If you're upset, if you're disgruntled, if you feel betrayed, and you kinda know that this company is actively taking advantage of you, what will it take for you to finally care? What will it take for you to finally say no more, even if you have to stand alone? You know, we spend copious amounts of money and time playing games to have an experience of feeling something heroic, something worthy. Sometimes just to feel something, like you achieved something. And here we have a situation where it's staring us in the face, the opportunity in real life to do something meaningful. And it's easy, but you have to make the active choice to say, no, I'm better than this. And I refuse to just be another blind consumer. It's worth thinking about for sure. Number 9, stop whining, stop being poor, stop being cheap, or variations of the 3. These are just dismissive arguments from people you were never going to reach anyway. Don't waste your time on them. And hey, most of the people using the claims that we're analyzing here were likely never going to budge anyway. But naysayers like this specifically are just not worth your time. Ignore them. Number 10. You are just rage grifting. I think this one's a little more personal to me and maybe some other content creators, but I'll address it. The term grifter is rapidly losing its value. Grifting used to mean swindler. There was an implication of disingenuousness. Now it's just, oh, you have a different opinion than me, and you're on the internet? You must be grifting. Y'all, I don't have the time or heart to be dishonest on this stuff. I care a lot. And I know many of you do too. This stuff is important. Sometimes it's worth talking about, and this is one of those cases. But to be clear on me, I take no sponsors. All of my content is free. It will remain free. There's an archive channel for all my streams, so you don't even need the members only thing here. That's just to keep YouTube happy. And I have the goal of hoping to inspire as many of you as I can to fight back. Fight back, man. Close your wallet. Tell your friends. Pick up a book. Learn something new. Take care of yourself. Take a walk. We are surrounded by perpetual negativity, and rightfully so, because the world is filled with malevolence. There are bad guys in play everywhere we turn. But your life is still your life, and the stories that have defined many of us are under attack by white-collar boardrooms trying to tell us what to think and how to feel. And that's my crusade, man. You know, who could have really predicted that Nintendo would be the Brutus to stab us all in the back? I'm not saying it was impossible, but with such a focus on things like ideology being put into games, the last thing on my bingo card was Nintendo pulling the most greedy move possible, you know? So screw them. It's time we fought back and didn't give them the air to breathe. I hope that my words here are landing for at least some of you, at least a little bit. Again, this is a very important topic, and arming yourself with rebuttals is useful, but the best way to win is to not give Nintendo a penny. Until next time, create, innovate, inspire, and for the love of God, cancel Disney Plus. And probably don't buy the Switch 2. Yeah, the whole YouTube members only thing on the live streams, I make videos, and YouTube doesn't like when you make the videos and then you do the live streams. It treats your live streams like videos, and then that hurts videos like this getting out there. It's long-winded, it's really stupid. There's an entire archive channel, all my live streams are there. Everything is free. I'll see you next time, take care, be well.